What is up, y'all? Welcome to this episode of the Quick Platinum Trophy Guide. We're here in Crumbling Farum Azula. And as with most other places we've done in this game, we're going to run through here and just pretty much pick up the main things we need to get. One thing I did realize is we only picked up one Ghost Glovewort 8. And I wanted to offer y'all the flexibility to upgrade more than one summon. So once we get our first Grace here and we're able to warp out of here, I'm actually going to go pick up another one. I'm pretty sure I know where another one would be. Just so y'all have the flexibility to maybe upgrade Black Knife Tiche if you'd rather be using Black Knife Tiche instead of the Mimic. And then in that way, you'd be able to get Black Knife Tiche up to max level as well. So the Grace is right beyond these enemies here. Just on the left. Make sure I don't miss the doorway. Here we go. It's in this one up here. And as long as I unlock the Grace, I don't care if I die because I'll just respawn right next to it. I'm probably going to die here. In fact, I'm just going to take the death on purpose. Probably quicker than trying to fight these guys. So now that we got the Grace unlocked, we're going to respawn right here, be able to pick up our runes, and then warp on out of here to get that second Ghost Glovewort 8 that you'll need if you want to level up another Spirit Summon. Eventually, we're going to get the Bell Bearing where we can just buy them, but that's not going to happen right now. So, all right, so rest the Grace, and that will allow us to warp out of here. You can't warp out of here until you rest that first Grace. And to get that Glovewort 8... let's see, probably the best, yeah, it's going to be to here, warp to the Noxtella Waterfall Basin, and there should be one right around here once you go up the elevator. So we're going to pick that up and then go from there. Take the elevator up. And this is a quick detour. If you're planning on using the Mimic anyways, you're not going to need to do this. This is only if you want to experiment with summons and have at least two max level spirit summons. Okay, so the 8 should be right around here. I'm gonna go this way. Here it is. There it is. Yeah, Ghost Glovewort 8. So if you want to level up your spirit summons, maybe Black Knife Tiche is one I would recommend. We just picked up our second 8. So if you check our inventory here, now you see we have another 8 here, so you should be good on that front. So we have an 8, a 9, and another Great to level up to 10. So once we have the ability to warp, we're going to go right back to Crumbling Farum Azula and pick up where we left off. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is actually we're going to run through here. We're going to get our next Somber Bell Bearing, which will allow us to purchase more Somber Smithing Stones. So we're going to get the Bell Bearing that allows us to get 6s and 7s, I believe, and the other Bell Bearing that's going to allow us to get 8s and 9s from this area. So you'll be able to buy Somber Smithing Stones 1 through 9, as many as you'd like, once we're done with this area. So run past the dragon. It's another lightning dragon. But once we can go to our left up here, we're going to. Pick up this Grace just for safety. Probably not going to need it, but. So go back through here. Once we get through this archway, we're going to take a right and just run straight through. This is a prayer book, I believe I don't need, so I'm not going to pick it up because this area is dangerous, as you can see, which is why we picked up that Grace back there. In case we died there, we'll have a closer respawn. But this is what we want, is this Grace up here. And I'm just going to keep going. Not going to linger around. This is our Bell Bearing. This is our first of 2 that we're going to get here. So make sure you pick that one up. And then you're going to want to drop down right here. This area is kind of confusing. There's a lot of spots where you can fall to your death. So just be mindful. There's a lot of relatively powerful enemies around here, too. All right, so run to this side. Another spot we can drop down. I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to heal up, just get my health back in good shape. And then over here, we see that Grace right in front of us. That's kind of our target. Going to run straight there as well. All right, and here we're going to rest. And this is where we're going to craft our sleep pots because we're about to come up on a boss where those sleep pots are going to come in handy. So you notice through the playthrough I've been picking up mushrooms and Trina's lilies. Those are the ingredients needed to craft sleep pots. So here we have mushrooms and we have plenty of each. So I'm going to craft as many as I can, which is 3. And that's because we have 3 cracked pots. So you're also limited by how many cracked pots you have. If you remember where we bought the cracked pots towards the beginning of the game, we bought them from the merchant who is right here at the Church of Ella. If you're not able to craft the sleep pots, it's because you don't have the recipe book. The recipe book is going to be right, let me think here. The recipe book for the crack pots is going to be in Eastern Limgrave right here in this graveyard. So if you don't have those, you can go get them real quick. But what we want to do is make sure we equip those sleep pots here, because the enemy that the boss we're about to fight is weak to sleep. And having the sleep pots on our equipment here is actually going to make it so that Mimic has them as well when we summon Mimic. And that's going to be really important because Mimic having the sleep pots is actually going to help us out a great deal. Now, these enemies here are quite tough, so run past them. We're going to circle around here, go straight. This is going to be like a spiral staircase downwards. And that's going to take us right to the boss room. So this boss is known as one of the hardest bosses of the game, but it's not so bad as long as you use sleep pots. So right when you get in, right when you get the opportunity, summon Mimic right away, and then throw sleep pots. The goal is to get them both to sleep so you can fight one at a time. So I'm going to throw my first sleep pot here. Hopefully get that one to sleep. There we go. He's asleep. Now when I get... They're both asleep from one sleep pot. That's perfect. So now... what we can do is we can focus on the one without having the other one attacking us, because they're going to stay. The other one's going to stay asleep pretty much indefinitely until you hit it and wake it up. So the thing about this boss fight is you have to pay attention to the health meter at the bottom. You see that they both have their individual health meter, and that we just knocked one of them out. But they're going to keep respawning until that health meter at the bottom is completely depleted. So just because we killed the one and now we've killed the other one, the health meter at the bottom's not all the way out yet. So we're not done yet. They're going to keep respawning. Oops, I didn't mean to. I meant to heal there, and I threw a sleep pot. My bad. There's the one coming back. So I probably should have saved that sleep pot for when there's 2 of them again, but it's all good. We'll take them out quickly. And eventually the other one's going to respawn as well. There we go. And that might be it. I think we may have done enough damage to the duo to get them. Yep, there we go. Sweet. So we got our trophy there. And we'll get a site of grace here that we'll rest at, get some level ups. And then we will proceed on through this area. Okay, so my goal is to get my vigor up to 60 now, and that will get me up to basically the next soft cap for vigor. And then at that point, I'm going to unequip the Radagon Source Seal. Because if you remember, the Radagon Source Seal, having that equipped, we actually take extra damage having that equipped, despite the fact that it gives us extra levels. But once we get to those soft caps anyways, we're not going to need those extra levels that it gives us. So really unequipping it's going to take away that extra damage that it does for not a huge cost to our levels. So I'm going to run through here, jump through this kind of window, and head in this northwest direction, avoiding all the enemies in the process. So here we're going to take a right through this doorway and then hop along these kind of floating piles of debris. And there are side areas that we're not exploring, but they're not required for progress through this level, so we're not going to do them in the interest of time and being quick. There's a Crucible Knight there that we're not going to fight. Now this area, this spot right here is tough. There's going to be flying birds that try to attack you, and then there's going to be a lightning dragon that's going to be trying to shoot you with lightning at the same time. So if you take a death here, don't fret it. You can also, spend more time fighting these birds and getting them down, and that'll help your cause a little bit if you don't have them constantly pestering you. But then the next challenge is you have this dragon shooting lightning at you, in addition to the birds, which are relentless, as you can see. I'm going to try to survive without fighting, but I might I might have to resort to fighting if I take a death here, which I will. I managed to salvage that, so. So our goal here is actually to run up to the dragon, because next to the dragon is a level 10 Somber Smithing Stone, so we're going to be able to get our weapon finally to max level if I don't die here first. And once you get next to him, he kind of goes away. He's blowing his fire. That was bad. I ran right into the fire. Just goes to show that you can be a little bit sloppy and still be okay. But typically, right when I go behind this dragon, he disappears. There we go. Got the somber. There he goes. The somber ancient dragon smithing stone. And that's going to get our weapon up to +10, which is also going to get us a trophy once we do get that weapon to +10. And over here is a golden seed that I'm going to pick up. And how are we doing on flasks? I can't tell how many flasks we have. We might already be at max flasks, but going to pick this up anyway, just in case we're not. And there's more birds over here, too. And these things are a pain, but as long as you keep your health up. And honestly, it might be easier for you just to kill a couple of these things. Up to you how you want to deal with it. All right, so next we're going up this little hill. You should leash eventually. There we go. And this part's a little bit tricky. Is a narrow thing you got to jump on to get across this chasm over here. Make sure you don't fall off. There we go. And in here is going to be our final Somber Smithing Stone Bell Bearing. This is going to allow us to buy up to Somber 9s. There we go. And we're about to get another Grace here, which we're going to go back to Round Table Hold, get our +10 weapon, and then give our Bell Bearings to the Merchant. All right, Grace right up here. And we're almost at the end of Crumbling Fair Missoula, so we have another boss to fight, but... Okay, so we are 1 flask away from maximum, yeah. So we still do need a few golden seeds, which we're going to pick up some. So what we're going to do now is go back to Round Table Hold. And we're going to give the Bell Bearings to the Merchant. This is that's an NPC's bell bearing. A lot of the NPCs actually leave Round Table Hold once it's on fire, and it becomes on fire once you burn the Erdtree, which we did in the previous episode. Okay, so let's offer bell bearing. So we got, let's see, that's just regular smithing stones. This is Somber 4, and the Somber number 5. So now if you see we can purchase up to +9. So we can purchase 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s. And again, you can get the 1s and 2s from Iji in Liurnia. You can purchase an unlimited supply from him. And then now we are going to level up our weapon to +10 and get the trophy for doing that. And once the Erdtree is on fire, you'll notice that Rodrika's moved back over here, so you can talk to her there to level up your spirit summons if you want. Okay, strengthen armament to +10. We got our God-slaying armament trophy. Perfect, that's what we came here for. And now we're going to warp back to Fair Missoula and finish up what we need to do there. So our warp point is beside the Great Bridge. That's the one that we just unlocked before going back to Round Table Hold. So, before we fight the boss of this area, we have a couple other orders of business to take care of. We're going to go up these stairs. Now, to get out of here and fight the boss, you'd go straight up there. But there's a couple other things you have to do for trophy-related stuff. That is this direction. So we're going to do that first. So there's an invader that we have to kill. And it's actually someone we met earlier. He was at the Volcano Manor. But after you killed Rykard, and if you talk to him, he should move here. Or at least he should invade you here. So go down this ladder, or just drop down. And do not go inside of this room that's in front of us. There's enemies in here. They will pile up on you and kill you. The invasion happens out on this bridge. And as long as you stay out on this bridge and don't go in there, those enemies should not attack you. But what we need here is the invasion. Because when we kill this invader, we're going to get a legendary weapon that we need for the legendary weapon trophy. So this enemy has a lifesteal ability. So don't let him use it on you. His weapon is pretty slow. But you see he's very susceptible to our special. He kind of over pursues, and then his weapon is very slow. And that's his lifesteal ability, so make sure you're away from him for that. I kind of let him run towards me, and then I time my special so that it hits him kind of when he's getting close. And as I said, his weapon hits very slow, so you know, take advantage of that as well. So again, I'm waiting for him to run. I was a little bit late on that one, but I wait for him to run to me, and there's his lifesteal. So that one actually hit me, dang it, but oh well. So right when he gets to me, I do my special. And I got the bleed there. He already uses flasks, so he will not have any more flasks. He's empty. Again, I'm going to do my special while he's running towards me. And a couple more hits should take him in. Ooh, he got that one. Oh, he almost killed me there. That would have been a disaster. Get him with a jump attack here. All right, cool. Now I'll refill my magic just because... All right, so what we wanted from that fight is the Devourer Scepter. That is our 8th of 9 legendary weapons. We also get his armor set, and then the Blasphemous Claw, which is actually something that could be used in the next boss, but we're not going to be using it because it's kind of a skill-based thing, and it actually, in my opinion, kind of makes the fight a little bit harder just trying to use it or learning how to use it properly. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wake these guys up one by one because there's actually a legendary talisman we want in that treasure chest. Come on. It's going slow. And I'm actually just going to go for it. Bad idea. That's why you do it carefully. I was just trying to be quicker, but ended up backfiring in a pretty bad way. But I managed to survive, at least for now. All right, once this guy's gone, that's it. Okay, cool. No harm, no foul. But the talisman that we want is in here. I believe this is number 5 for us, the Old Lord's Talisman. So what we're going to do now is we're going to warp back here to this bridge, and it is time to fight the boss. Now, this boss is pretty difficult. 2 phases. The phase change happens halfway through its life bar. If you've been playing the game normally, you might recognize this guy. He is an NPC elsewhere in the world. At least his first phase is. There's a Draconic Tree Sentinel right here. We're just going to run by him. You do not have to kill him to fight the boss, so I'm not going to fight him. He's actually a pretty difficult boss to fight, and you do not get that great reward for killing him. I think you get his armor set if you kill him. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that. All right. So, here we go. This is the Beast Clergyman / Maliketh. I'm going to summon in my Mimic here. And I'm using this pillar basically as cover while I put my buffs on and while Mimic is coming out. And I'm going to unequip my sleep pots because I don't need my sleep pots. And so Mimic does a very good job at tanking the hits and distracting the boss. So I'm just coming up behind him. And again, the phase change happens at about half health. The 2 phases are very, very different. The boss actually pretty much completely transforms. And the second phase, he has a lot of lifesteal type attacks, and his attacks are extremely, extremely quick and hard to dodge. You see, this boss has like a lot of earthquake type attacks that, you know, impact the ground. He throws rocks at you. The phase changes. Yep, there it is. And so now we got Maliketh, and he has a lot of life drain attacks. You see his sword is glowing red. Fortunately, he's on Mimic, but he moves around so quick that he's a bit shifty and he's hard to hit. So since he's distracted, though, I'm able to get some shots on, and got a stun. Perfect. Let's see if I can get the critical here, and that should be it for Maliketh. I made that look easy. This boss has given me trouble in the past. So it might take a few tries. If it does, you know, don't fret, but you'll get him eventually. All right, so we got the Remembrance and the trophy, and now that we did this, the capital is actually going to transform to the capital of Ash. So, disclaimer, hopefully you haven't already fought him. If you do not have the Bolt of Grandsax, the Bolt of Grandsax is a legendary weapon that we got the first time we went to the capital much earlier in the game. But if you don't already have it, and you get to the Ashen capital, it is too late to get the Bolt of Grandsax. So we have that already. If you look at our equipment, it is a spear type weapon. We have the Bolt of Grandsax. We've already gotten it. But if you do not have it already and you kill Maliketh, it is too late to get it as soon as you kill Maliketh. So just keep that in mind. If you don't already have the Bolt of Grandsax, make sure you get it before you kill Maliketh. If you've been following this guide, you should already have it. All right, so we got the first grace here, which this is really just the capital. But it's covered in ash now. So what we need to do now is actually we need to warp to the Forbidden Lands. And there's a little bit of backtracking that we have to do now from the Forbidden Lands to get to a different area of the Ashen Capital that is only available if you traverse this direction from the Forbidden Lands. And the reason why we need to do that is for a legendary talisman that we're going to get, number 6. So you need to go warp to the Forbidden Lands and then go up this elevator. And we're going to get to a section of the capital that is only accessible this way in this version of the capital. It is accessible from the main area of the capital before it's covered in ash, though. But for this talisman, we got to go this way, and it is a bit of a hike, unfortunately. But it is what it is. You got to do it for the talisman, which is a requirement for the All Talismans trophy. And I'm just going to ignore this guy on the horse. Make sure you have the Bloodhound claws for this section as well, because we are going to be using Bloodhound Step. It is a bit of a treacherous journey to get to this talisman, and I should have leveled up. Make sure that you're light on runes as well, because it is very easy to die doing this. And if I die, I'm actually not going to come back for these runes. I mean, this is 2 levels worth of runes, probably, maybe 3 levels worth of runes. If I lose these, I'm not coming back for them. So this, I'm considering, it is very likely for this to be a suicide mission. I hope it's not, but it very easily could be. Because I don't think there's not another site of grace between here and where we're going. So if I die here, I die. It is what it is. I've got 319,000 runes on the line, so we'll see how it goes. But I would suggest spending your runes before attempting this part. And again, I'm going to put the Bloodhound claws on for the Bloodhound Step ability, because it will make this easier. Okay. So this wide open pile of ash below us, you see there's an ulcerated tree spirit down there. There's actually 3. There's one that's visible right now, and then 2 of them are going to come up from underground once we start walking. Well, not once we start walking, but it is possible once you cross a certain spot that they will come out and attack you. So the goal is to try to avoid this one seeing me for as long as possible. That's kind of why I'm running around the outside as much as possible. And hopefully this one doesn't see me. And as soon as it sees me, or as soon as one of the other ones comes up, I'm spanning Bloodhound Step. So the talisman that we want is on that branch sticking out of the ground. So I was lucky. This one didn't see me, but the other one's coming out of the ground now. So Bloodhound Step is my friend here. Hopefully I can pull this off, because I'm not fighting these tree spirits. All right, got the Erdtree favor +2. That's what I'm looking for. I just need to get back to that other side. I'm going to chug a blue flask. And there's a third one. And Bloodhound Step does give you a decent amount of iframes. I took a hit there. I'm going to heal. Hopefully I make it back. Because I do want to spin these runes. But I have died doing this before, so just bear that in mind. I did manage to make it happen there. And once you're out of FP, you try to do Bloodhound Step, you see you don't get the iframes anymore. Okay, so once these guys de-aggro from me, I'm warping out of here. I can't get to my map yet still, but there we go. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to warp here to the Grand Lift of Rold. And so since we have both halves of the Erdtree medallion or Erdtree medallion, whatever it's called, we can warp to the secret area of the map. And of course, in that secret area, there's quite a bit of stuff we have to do. So let's see, I can get to 5960. Wow, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do some Talisman. So we have the Erdtree's Favor +1 equipped currently, so I'm going to go ahead and put the +2 version on, which is just a upgraded version. And let's see if there's something else. I think I'm going to take this Source Seal off, which will reduce the amount of damage that I take. And I'm just going to put this on for now. Let's see. Stargazer raises intelligence. No, so I'm going to put the Bolt Drake Talisman on for now. Not that I really need it per se, but there is a different Talisman that I'm going to put there later that we're going to get us another one of the legendaries. But we don't have it yet. So what you want to do is you want to stand here, and you see if you press the directional buttons, you can switch the action. So now we're going to press Hoist the Secret Medallion, and this is going to take us to the secret area of the map. So really, again, the reason why I unequipped the Source Seal there is because I got to the soft cap, level 60 in Vigor. And so since we have that Vigor, those extra 5, we've hit the soft cap, those extra 5 levels that the Talisman gives us aren't going to be that helpful to us. It's not going to give us that much of a boost. But again, having that particular Talisman equipped actually increases the amount of damage we take, so that's why I unequipped it. So now we just want to go through here, the hidden path to the Erdtree. Once we get through here, we're going to take a left up these stairs. There's going to be some enemies that drop down on us, so just be careful. We got these guys, the tiny fellas that cause a lot of problems. The Vulgar Militia is what they're called. And there's going to be a giant octopus. There you go. Drops down, so go kind of take a big loop around the side there so it doesn't land on you. Get the Grace. And so out here is going to be what's outside of this kind of catacombs is what's known as the consecrated snowfield. And this first part, your vision is going to be very highly obscured. So make sure you kind of follow these little candle looking things. And I can't guarantee we're actually going to find it following this, but there is a Grace relatively close by that we may or may not stumble upon. Sometimes I find it, sometimes I don't. There it is right there. So if you follow those candles, the Grace should be kind of right or kind of right next to you on the left side. So now I'm going to get on my horse, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be traveling sort of in this northern direction. And I'm not going to be following the path anymore, just headed straight north. If we come up, just keep your eyes peeled. If you come up to a cliff, don't jump off. But once we come up to a cliff, we're just going to kind of follow it sort of eastward, and then we're eventually going to get to the spot where we want to be. So ignore these enemies. So this is a cliff. This one we can actually drop down, so I'm just going to drop down and try to stay on that northern heading. So this cliff, also able to drop down. And those lightning guys, we've seen them before, but they are very powerful. So again, yeah, just kind of try to stay as north as possible. If you come up on a cliff, make sure that it's safe before you jump down. So what we want to do now is there's another Grace over here somewhere. There it is. So once it clears up and you see this frozen river in front of you, you know you've reached the right spot. And then just kind of follow the river until you get to this Grace over here. I'm going to unlock this Grace as well. And then our next thing to do is going to be to get the map fragment, which is literally right in front of us on the other side of this river, frozen river. And you can see there's our icon. We're headed straight to it. So I'm not even going to put a marker down because it's visible right now. And that's where we're headed. And so we got the map. So what we're going to do now is we're going to warp back to that first Grace that we got, which is right here. There's actually going to be a golden seed right here. Now they have the map unlocked, I can mark it. And even though it's hard to see in this area, since I have my map, I can mark it right here. If you didn't get this Grace, you can just, you know, go back here, or you can just put the marker down and follow. But since I did find this one, I'm going to warp from here and get this gold seed. I'm just going to head straight for my marker here. And it should be around here somewhere. There it is. Excellent. And so what we want to do now is I'm going to warp to this beacon that we found. Or this side of Grace that we found, and then I'm going to place a beacon right here. There's a cave over here that has a legendary weapon. It's actually our 9th of 9 legendary weapons that we're going to get inside of this cave for killing the boss. So once we kill this boss and get that weapon, our trophy for the legendary weapon should pop. Unless we did something wrong and I accidentally missed something, but I'm pretty confident we got everything we need, but we're about to find out. So if your trophy doesn't pop when you get this weapon, that means you missed one of them. And hopefully it's not the Bolt of Grand Sax. As I said, if you miss the Bolt of Grand Sax, the only way you're going to be able to get that is a New Game Plus. It's too late to get it in this playthrough, unfortunately. All right, watch out. There's some crabs and octopi around here. And a giant magma worm down there if you go all the way down there. So this cave is going to require stone sword keys to unlock. That octopus you can kind of use as a landmark. We picked up several stone sword keys along the way, so you should have enough if you've been following this guide closely. I'm going to throw on my lantern once I get the opportunity to. Okay. That rune. Just picking up the items that are along the way. Not going to get that one. So that's the secret item up there. I believe it's a very high level rune. I believe it's a Lord's rune. So you gotta, it's kind of tricky to get over there. You want to jump on this little pillar here, and then you need to run and jump to get over there. And the jump is a bit of a stretch, but you can make it. So we got the Hero's Rune 2. That's going to give us a bunch of runes. And then the way forward is actually, you got to go over here. These are Miquella's Lily. They're used for crafting, but not anything that we're going to craft in this playthrough. So you want to jump over here. This is the progress route. You drop down here. This is going to take us to the boss. Make sure you don't fall all the way down, because that might be a death if you fall all the way down. The very beginning. So these are red jellyfish. These are mad at us for whatever reason, so they're going to fire their poison projectile. So don't stop and smell the roses around here, because they're going to try to shoot their poison stuff at you. So make sure you go quickly. So down this hole we have to drop. So make sure you find out where the ledges are and then drop down on these ledges individually. Because again, if you drop straight to the bottom, I'm pretty sure that you'll take a death. All right. Then through here is going to be our boss. So same thing as usual, right? When you get in, summon Mimic or whatever summon you're using. And wait for Mimic to take the aggro off of you. Because this guy's weapon is very powerful. It's another misbegotten warrior. We've fought in several of these before, but his weapon in particular is quite powerful. Yes, some moves with it that do quite a bit of damage. So now that he's on Mimic, I'm going to heal up. And then... and go to town. So he does have some AoE. Yeah, there we go. He just leveled up his, or powered up his weapon, so it fires Sacred at you now. Sacred projectiles. And Mimic got the kill shot. There we go. Moment of truth. Here we go. Golden Order Greatsword and Legendary Armaments Trophy. Perfect. So we did everything we needed to do for that trophy. Now we're going to warp on out of here. We're going to go back to this Grace here, the Inner Consecrated Snowfield. And then there's a few other things that we need to take care of. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to get the Grace outside of here. This is a puzzle that we're going to do in the next episode that's going to give us access to the Halig Tree proper. We're not going to do that quite yet. And now we have enough golden seeds to upgrade our flask. So I'm going to do that. So that's the last golden seed that we need. I might lead you to a couple more golden seeds in this playthrough just in case you don't have max, but we just reached max for our flask. And I'm going to level up. I'm going to pretty much put the rest, maybe not every single level we get from this point, into Dex. I'm going to put quite a bit into Dex, though, just to make our weapon more powerful since our weapon primarily scales off of Dexterity. And so where we're going to go now is we're going to get that Site of Grace right outside the liturgical town, which, again, we're not going to solve the puzzle quite yet, but we're going to do that in the next episode. And then... While we're on our way, speaking of golden seeds, there's another one like right over, right around here. And then our next stop after that is going to be, there's a warp gate that we're going to need to get to. And that warp gate is going to take us to an area of the game known as Mogwhyn's Palace. And Mogwhyn's Palace is actually, if you followed the bonus episode I released that detailed how to do the early game rune farming route, you've already been to Mogwhyn's Palace, but this is the way to get there without doing that side quest that I explained in that extra episode. So you may or may not have already been to Mogwhyn's Palace, but this is the, I guess, official way to get there without having to do that side quest first. So we're going to go on and get this grace because we are going to be warping here later. And our next stop is going to be for that golden seed. Again, we don't need any more golden seeds. The maximum number of flasks you can have is 14 total. So right now I have 13 allocated to red and 1 to blue. So there's that extra gold seed. And then before we get to the warp point that takes us to Mogwhyn's Palace, there's actually going to be an invader. The gate is going to be closed off until you kill the invader. So we are going to have to kill that invader before we can get to Mogwhyn's Palace, but not too huge of a deal. And the farming spot that I showcased as part of that bonus episode, you can still do it now. So I'm actually still going to show you how that farming route works. But it is much later in the game, so it would have been more useful to you earlier. But still very useful. Still a lot of runes can be gained from that route. So you see there's a rune bear over there. I don't want him to join my fight with this Sanguine Noble invader. Because if I'm fighting the Sanguine Noble and a Rune Bear at the same time, that is going to be bad news. So make sure you kind of get out of the way of the Rune Bear. Fight the Sanguine Noble over here. And wait till he gets close. He has blood weapons also, so he can build up your blood meter pretty quickly if you're not careful. So just be cognizant of that. But he is also himself susceptible to bleed. So he has that projectile as well. So make sure you're dodging to the side from that projectile. And he is a Dunsky. So now that he's dead, we can use the warp point now to get to Mogwhyn Palace. As I said, until you kill him, you can't warp. This warp gate shuts off until you kill the invader, I believe. So we're going to use this, get to Mogwyn's Palace, because he is a trophy boss that we have to kill. So I'm going to put on my lantern so I can see. And make sure you drop down these cliffs correctly so you don't fall to your death. And back here, I believe this is a rune item. And a mushroom. But I didn't pick up the mushroom. I think that's actually it might be a melted mushroom. Which is not something that we're going to need. Alright, so this side of Grace, this is where the farming route is executed. And I'm not really going to farm here, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So what you want to do is you want to rest. You need a bow and arrow for this. And what you're going to want to do, get your bow ready, is go to this rock right next to this guy. He's not going to bother you unless you hit him. And the goal is to shoot this bird, this giant bird. If you shoot him with an arrow and standing in this spot, he will run right off the cliff. And I have the gold scarab equipped. With the gold scarab equipped, he gives you 13,000 runes for each attempt. So what you do is you rest right here at the site of Grace, and then he will respawn, and you can do this to your heart's content for as long as you want. So I'm going to shoot this guy again, this bird. He's going to run off the edge. Another 13,000 runes. As I said, I'm not really going to use this farming route, but that's how you would do it. And so have at it. So what I'm going to do now is you want to run down here. These guys are actually pretty tough, so I'm not going to spend much time fighting them. Take a left up here. And there's going to be some powerful enemies in this spot, including an invader. But what we're doing this for is make sure you dodge these blood geysers. There's a talisman up here that we want to get. That's going to help us against the final set of bosses. The Stone Sword Key don't really need, but what we want is the Haligdrake Talisman +2. That is going to give us extra defense against holy damage, which the last couple bosses do. So once you get that, you want to head kind of in this direction. Or not in that direction. That's a dead end. But kind of follow this river of blood, so to speak. And you see this giant tree. We're getting invaded now by this guy. And he might invade you earlier, but if he invades you, just make sure you get to a spot where you can fight him without much interference and you can kill him. Because you're not going to be able to ride your horse while you have an invader. So this is another guy. He does blood damage as well. He's got a dagger. Alright, got him. So now that he's gone, I can get back on my horse once he finally despawns. There we go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to kind of hug this wall to our right. Go around these trees. Get the hero's rune. And then circle around that tree. Kind of keep the wall to your right here. Headed in this northwest direction. And this is where we want to be, right here. Now, there are going to be giant skeletons that are summoned here, so make sure you're sprinting on your horse. Do not stop for anything. Even if you miss these items that I'm picking up, do not stop for anything, because if you stop, very easily could die here, because these skeletons that are being summoned fire very powerful projectiles. And once you get to this spot here, you're going to dismount your horse automatically. And I would be showing you where I'm going, but I literally can't. A, because I can't even pull up my map, but B, we haven't picked up the map fragment yet. But now, this is the map fragment, so now we can pull up our map if it would let me. But I would have put beacons down, but it would have been useless because this whole thing just would have been dark, and I wouldn't have been able to show exactly where I was going. So this is where we started. We went through a tunnel that took us around here. We got our talisman right here, and then what we did was we went straight this way. Remember I told you to hug around the tree? We got the Lord's Rune right around here. We followed this wall, and this is where the things were being summoned. So I just wanted to show you the path that we took to get here, just in case you were having trouble. I'm going to go ahead and heal up. I believe there's a site of grace nearby, though. Here we go. And I can level up once. So I'm going to put that into dexterity. My next goal will be dexterity to 40. Run past these guys. They're slow. Go all the way up here. If they hit you with their blood spatter, though, you see I am taking a little bit of blood damage. This guy you can just kind of run past and jump across. I did take a hit there, but not a big deal. And in here is a little bit dangerous. There's going to be some of the sanguine nobles. We fought the invader out front of this place, but the in the flesh versions are going to be in this cave, and they're going to pop up and try to fight us. And they can chase after you and cause problems. So in front of here, got a Lord's Rune. This is worth a ton of runes. I think it's either 20,000 or 50,000. It's a lot. This is a Glovewort 9 for summons. Just runs straight out of here. And the Sanguine Nobles ended up not being that big of a deal, so that's good. Sometimes they can be a real pain. So rest up here. I'm going to use this as an opportunity. Let's see how many rune items I have. A lot. So yeah, this gives you 50,000. So what I'm going to do, I have 2 remembrances as well. I'm going to warp back to Round Table Hold, sell all my runes, level up as high as I can. We're about to fight a pretty difficult boss, so I want to make sure I'm adequately strong for that. So I'm going to go here to the blacksmith, sell all my runes. So the remembrance of the fire giant and the remembrance of the black blade. And again, you can use those remembrances for spells and weapons and whatnot, but in this particular playthrough, I'm not really interested in any of those. You can get Maliketh's weapon from using his remembrance. Is actually a very cool weapon. So vigor or dexterity rather to 40 is what I'm aiming for. I could only get up to 39, but that's just fine. And for what we're going to do now is we're going to fight a boss. And if you're having trouble with this boss, there's actually an item you can get that can help you. I'm not going to get it, but if you want that item so you can warp here to the Altus Highway Junction, the item that you want is going to be right here. There's a church right here, and there's going to be an invader. You kill the invader in this church, and you're going to get a item for your physic flask. And once you get that item for your physic flask, make sure to equip it to your physic flask, because there's a special attack that this boss has once he does his phase transform. And he does it every single time that he does his phase transform. And when he does that, it's the only way to avoid it is by having that item in your physic flask, and by drinking your physic flask at that point, you will avoid a massive amount of damage. I'm going to handle it differently. I'm just going to handle it by just healing in the middle of that attack. So he does the attack 3 times, and each time it takes a pretty significant chunk of health away. And you can heal through it by using your flask, or if you use that physic concoction, you can negate the vast majority of damage that it causes. But just for being quick, I'm not going to do that. Oh, he actually got on here. Just for time, I'm not going to do that. But you can, if you want to take a quick detour, it might be worth your while. Okay, so in here is the boss fight. We just actually back there, I just want to point out we picked up another +10 Somber Smithing Stone, the Ancient Dragon Somber Smithing Stone, in that treasure chest. Optional if you don't want to level up another weapon to +10, but I just wanted to pick it up just in case there's another weapon that you wanted to use. So in here is the boss fight. Same story. Summon Mimic. I'm going to go ahead and drink my flask because I do not have that, concoction, so I'm going to just use my bubble here. You can actually one-cycle him. You can completely deplete his health before he transforms. I've done it before. I'm not going to do it here, or I'm going to try not to do it here, because I want to show you his second phase, which is significantly harder than his first phase. He might look familiar. This is actually his true form. We fought him down at the very bottom of the capital after getting through the subterranean shining grounds. So the first phase is very similar to that fight. So he just said trace. You notice I have this red circle around me. That's part of his special attack. He's going to say trace, duo, and then unus, and get all the way down, basically counting backwards from 3 to 1. And then when he transforms, he's going to say nihil 3 times, and each time he says nihil, he does a tremendous amount of damage to you. So just be cognizant. So if you pile on the damage, you can get to this. You can kill him before he does this. So you see he's saying the nihil, and I'm healing in the middle of those nihils to get my health back, because if he does nihil 3 times without you healing, he's going to kill you. Or if you use that thing in your physic flask, that'll help you as well. He is significantly more aggressive in his second phase. So I suggest trying to one-cycle him if you can. It is much easier to one-cycle him. It's much easier to kill him if you one-cycle him. So let Mimic take the majority of the aggression away, and then pile the damage on him here if I can. But he becomes significantly more aggressive in his second phase. But I definitely wanted to show you what he does there in his phase transform, so you're prepared for it either way, whether you decide to get the physic item or not. I just wanted to show you that so you can be prepared for it. But you can actually kill him while he's saying nihil. I've done it before. So we get the trophy and a great rune and a remembrance. And look at those runes. That's just an insane amount of runes there. So with that being said, gonna level up. Get that dex to 40. I'm gonna get my mind up to 20 just so I have more specials available to me. And that's all I can do at this point. So level 120. That's actually pretty solid for really not doing any farming, and really we're skipping a large portion of this game. So level 120 is very solid for this point. If these things are too difficult for you at this point in time, there's that farming route that I pointed out earlier in the episode. So take advantage of that to your heart's content if you'd like. That can really help you out to get, 30 more levels. Can really help you out pretty substantially. Okay, so we did that. We beat the boss. We got a remembrance, which I could... I'll go back to round table hold and pop that remembrance. No, that's actually I don't have any other runes, so I don't think that's not gonna be enough to get me another level anyway. So I'll hold on to it for now. But just for going back there, I'm gonna end the episode now. So it's a good spot to end it in round table hold. So As I said, we're done with this episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you found it helpful. We've got 2 episodes left. And then we're done. So we are on the home stretch here, guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Take care, and I'll see y'all next time.